Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of New Gameplay Today. I'm Suriel Vazquez. I'm joined by Ben Hanson in the booth.
Hello, Suriel.
And Imran Khan out in San Francisco.
Howdy.
We're taking a look at Travis Strikes Again. Grasshopper Manufacturer's latest game comes out next month. But we got to play a couple levels, and Imran, you played it.
I did play it, and this is the first time that any of these levels have been seen, because for the entire time since announcement, it's only been the first level.
Right, and the sort of the premise with this is that each level is sort of its own unique game. From what you've played, how different did these levels feel?
They didn't feel super different. They're all kind of the same take on our top-down action game. Like the second level had a bit more to it, because it had like a racing game as part of it. But this level that we're seeing now is, the way they explain it to me is that there's a serial killer called the Doppelganger, and you are in a Famicom detective kind of way, going to various houses and finding his murder scenes and trying to figure out who he is.
Okay, and so, yeah, from what we've seen of the game so far, it feels like it's going to be mostly this top-down sort of brawler game. Is that sort of the expectation?
Yeah, pretty much. That, even in the other areas, they'll have little breaks for you to go and do the action scene stuff while you go take on the indie game. So in this one, it's what they let me play was entirely top-down, but it does change a little bit here and there. There's a more zoomed-out top-down area as well. But since it's a co-op game, I'm guessing they're kind of limited by what they can change up.
So it looks like Hotline Miami in some ways. But the announcement, weren't they more direct about comparing it to Hotline Miami or something?
Yeah, in the announcement trailer, it showed Travis playing Hotline Miami on this video game system, which is Deathmark 64 or something. I don't remember what the exact console name was, but it showed Travis playing that game and then he and Batman getting sucked into the console. So there are some references to indie games in the game. I'm not sure they'll let me say which ones there are.
Interesting.
But he can wear various shirts from various indie games.
That's fun.
As part of his costume.
Right, because part of it was that Hotline Miami, in part, inspired Travis Strikes Again in that he saw sort of that game being made by two people, and he said, I remember when I used to do something like that, and I want to make a game like that again with a small team and have full creative control. And so that was in more than just style. Suda really likes that game. So
right, the development process.
Right.
We should note that due to Nintendo's embargoes, which are always fun, that there's going to be some crossfading and stuff, so that wasn't a weird cut in the game going back to the skull. So every once in a while, if you see a fade, that's the Game Informer touch.
Right.
But when I was talking to Suda at PAX, he did mention that he wanted to make a game that has an indie feel, which is like what Suriel was saying. But I think he also wants to get back into the real No More Heroes stuff at some point. So this game is kind of a primer for that, because he has not directed a game since the last No More Heroes.
Really?
Yeah, it's been he's been involved with games. He's still the sort of the overall head honcho over at Grasshopper, but his touch has been sort of conceptual for most of the projects, and he's let other directors sort of take the helm, and he's been a big part of a lot of those games, but he hasn't full-on directed a game since No More Heroes.
A little Mizuguchi style for him.
Yeah.
So he is directing this one then?
Yes, this is his sort of return to directing full time.
And you can see it in the dialogue too, because there's a certain feel what No More Heroes writing had that a lot of the games since then have not had. And this one has that very disjointed, very kind of fourth wall breaking writing style that I came to appreciate.
Right. And I mean, Suda's been very direct about he wants this game to sell specifically so that he can make No More Heroes 3. So, but this feels sort of like a top-down version of No More Heroes. The combat isn't as intricate, but it definitely has this sort of you have these small environments that you're sort of ransacking basically in search of enemies and stuff. But it does have sort of a more crazy feel, because in No More Heroes you were fighting against sort of gang members and people who were part of this association, this murderers gang, as you were climbing the ranks. But this is a lot more just straight up monsters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Are you two both big fans of No More Heroes? No More Heroes?
I loved it.
Yeah, I really it's basically the game that introduced me to Suda, actually, even though Killer 7 was my favorite. I played Killer 7 because it was by the guy who made No More Heroes.
Right.
But
one of the things that so in earlier press showings and presentations and stuff like that, booth showings for this, you had to to like recharge a beam saber in the old Wii game, you had to like kind of pump the Wiimote up and down. In the Joy-Con version, you had to pretty much do the same thing. But they told me that now they made it so you can hold in the left stick and just like move the analog stick up and down, because they're like, oh, people are going to play this handheld, so we need to have a good non-motion solution for this.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Here's a
shaking your
transition,
entire
just so you
console.
know here.
Yeah.
And this is the second game. This was called Golden Dragon GP. And they made a point to say that, like, when Travis comes into new games, he'll have, like, a referential intro like that.
It's not Terminator every time.
It's not Terminator every time, so it should be something new for different games.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's cool. And I feel like he's putting more of like, here's a bunch of cool stuff that I like into this game, between like the Terminator references and just like, here are indie games that I'm into that you should go check out. He's very explicit about putting that stuff in his games.
Yeah, I think the indie game thing came about because, like, I think Yacht Club got in touch with him. They were like, hey, we really like Travis Strikes Again, or we like No More Heroes. He's like, I like Shovel Knight. And then they just made a shirt.
Sure. I love it. It's kind of a scary proposition to be like, hey, I want to make No More Heroes 3. I hope you guys buy this weird kind of indie-inspired offshoot so that I can make the big deal. But I'd imagine there's an audience for this game.
Yeah, I feel like it may not have like the same gameplay, but I feel like it is enough in the style from what we've seen that if it doesn't feel like, oh, you know, I'm a fan of No More Heroes, but I don't like this weird turn the series has taken. It feels like, okay, I get that this is sort of something in a smaller scale, but this feels like it retains a lot of that series' flavor, I think.
Yeah. And so this is a Virtua Boy inspired game, or what the hell's going on here?
Well, he mentions that it's a VR thing.
Okay, got it.
It's like, it's the way you race is very strange. I'm not sure, like, how much of this we keep in, but like when I first started it, I didn't understand this at all. Like, you have to hold accelerator, and then you have to not really solve a puzzle, but manually shift gears by going through a menu kind of thing.
What?
And then hit decelerate, then accelerate again. It's strange, and like he or she or whatever, I think that's the main villain that was just talking to you there, but they explain how that works, and at the time I was like, I don't get this at all.
Oh my god. Oh good, I'm glad I have your first take in this video that Imran is you're struggling to drive.
Also, not to put a too fine a point on it, but I like the idea of being transported to a new area that's just a room where you go into another area.
Yeah.
It is very cool. Well, I mean, this is, my God, I can feel the wind in my face over here, Imran. You're really killing it.
We're going at around 120 miles an hour right now.
You can feel it.
Look at those RPMs.
My God. Okay, so
Yeah,
you're supposed to be looking in the upper right.
Until they were like, yeah, no one understands it at first, so it's fine, and then they actually sat and explained it to me. I wish they would have told me for video purposes like, how to do it.
All right, well, moving on. Oh, so this is you trying it again, then?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I wonder.
No, so they make you go through a couple of like different ones, and then by the time you get to the GP like final race of the tournament, they're like, you just completely get smoked. So they tell you go find better equipment and then come back. Of course, it's not actually like a adventure game, so you do just go to a different instance and then do a level to get better equipment.
Okay, got it.
Which they call cleaning work.
Were you feeling optimistic about this one, Imran?
I am. I've been pretty down on this game pretty much every time I played it, but outside of a like PAX style setting, I think it works a lot better when you can sit down and really understand and like talk to your co-op partner. Because like, for example, Badman has a move where he slows down enemies, and Travis has a move where he can like call in an airstrike. So if you combine those together, it stops enemies from like interrupting you during your big powerful moves.
Got it.
Definitely seems like a decent co-op game, but like I've set my expectations like accordingly. I don't think it's going to be like the return of No More Heroes that I wanted, but I will get my No More Heroes any way I can get it, and this seems like a decent enough avenue to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, thank you so much for watching an episode of New Gameplay Today. Every time there's new gameplay to show off, Game Informer's here to show it off. So subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on GameInformer.com. Thanks, everybody!